Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here today. A lot of stuff going on. The world of movies is abuzz. The Oscar nominations were made. Just raised some questions as well. We're going to talk about that a little bit here today. Now, here's how today's show is going to go. I have picked out 4 topics that you guys have emailed into me. How do you get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word topic in the subject line, or else I'm not going to see it. And as always, guys, keep those emails as short as possible, 90 words or less. After that, I'm going to have a few minutes left to take a couple of live questions as well from you guys using the Super Chat. But for now, let's dive into the first topic today. And the first topic today comes to us from Rich Baker. And Rich Baker writes, what do you make of the live-action Barbie movie being pushed back 2 years? We've all seen movies get pushed back, but I can't think of a time when one was pushed back this far. What would motivate a studio to take such a drastic move? All right, so for those of you who haven't known about this, a long time ago, it got announced that they were looking at making a live-action Barbie movie, and at first, Amy Schumer was supposed to be in it. Then she left due to scheduling conflicts. The movie still hadn't happened. And then came word that Anne Hathaway was going to star in the film. And the date got moved a little bit a few times, but usually in a pretty small window. So just recently, it got revealed that the Barbie movie has now been pushed from coming out in a couple of months to later this summer to all the way to 2020. They've moved the film 2 years. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about the film, basically it's supposed to be a live-action adaptation. And it's the idea that there's this Barbie world, and this one Barbie living in the Barbie world isn't perfect enough. So they kick her out to live in the real world, and now she's dealing with, it's a fish out of water story. It could be cute. It sounds like it could be cute, at any rate. So, and apparently Anne Hathaway is going to get connected to it and all that kind of stuff. So the question becomes, why move it 2 years? I mean, what's the deal with that? Here's the best. They gave no official explanation. The best guess I have about why they would move it that far is simply this. It may be Anne Hathaway, maybe it's the director they want, maybe it's something else, but I have a feeling it's probably connected to they want this particular director, but this director would not be available to start shooting the film until next year, in which case means the movie wouldn't be ready to come out till 2020. Or they really want Anne Hathaway, but her schedule is booked right now. Her next available open window to shoot is sometime next year. The only thing, and now normally what would happen in a situation like that is the studio will just go, oh, well, let's get a different director, or oh, well, let's get a different star. But if the studio, say, is really connected to the director they want, or a particular actor they want in it, or a particular cinematographer they want in it, whatever, maybe they decided to wait and say, hey, this guy isn't going to be ready, or this lady isn't going to be ready until sometime in early 2019. Therefore, it's important to us to have this person, so we'll wait to shoot this movie. We're in no rush to get this movie out. We'll wait. Again, there may be another explanation, but that's the best one I can come up with off the top of my head. Your guess is as good as mine. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic comes to us from Eduardo Chavez. And Eduardo Chavez writes, I've been reading that the new Cloverfield movie, God Particle, is getting purchased by Netflix. Why would Paramount sell it? Do they not have any faith that the movie could be profitable in the theaters? Or do you think Netflix just made them, pardon me, just made them the old Godfather offer that they couldn't refuse? All right, thanks a lot for the question. And Cloverfield 3, aka God Particle, it's been an on-again, off-again. Release dates, I think, moved 4 times officially. And Paramount was still looking to put it out. Now, I need to pull this up officially. 10 Clover, because I forgot to look it up earlier. But if I remember correctly, 10 Cloverfield Lane did not do great at the box office. Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was a pretty decent movie, actually worldwide only ended up making $110 million, which is not great. Right? That's not what you're looking for when you're a major studio putting out a higher profile project. Now, granted, 10 Cloverfield Lane was not an expensive movie to make, thank goodness. But still, they were looking for more than that. So now they're looking at making a third loose chapter to Cloverfield, and they got this thing, God Particle. From what I understand, the original idea for God Particle takes place around the same time as everything else going on in Cloverfield. but it happens in orbit on a space station, where some international astronauts are working on some particle experiments, but something goes wrong, and then it involves aliens and things like that, and you can probably use your imagination to guess where that goes from there. So it gets moved and moved and moved and moved, and now there's talks that Netflix is talking to Paramount about getting the rights. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing to me. Some headlines make it sound like Netflix is just outright buying the movie off Paramount. However, other reports I'm reading are making it sound like what Netflix is doing is they're buying the rights to the movie to the rest of the world. That Paramount may still release God Particle in the North American theaters, but they don't release it theatrically anywhere else, and Netflix is going to premiere it to the rest of the world on Netflix. I have sent out an email to a person I know at Paramount to try to get some kind of official word. I haven't heard back yet. I think the way it sounds, because they just recently did the same type of a deal with Annihilation, where Netflix bought the rest of the worldwide distribution rights to Annihilation that's coming out, and I believe the studio Paramount is still going to release it theatrically in North America. I think that's the way it's working. Anyway, like I said, I've sent out some feelers to some people I know at the studios to try to find out what I can, and when I find out more, I will let you guys know. But it is really interesting, and again, I think, why would Paramount do this? Well, if they simply don't feel that a Cloverfield movie worldwide, outside of North America, can do that much business. I mean, 10 Cloverfield Lane did not make much business. Out of its $110 million in total, only $38 million of that came from all the international markets. So Paramount may be in a position where they think, well, you know what? We make most of our money from this franchise here at home. Why not sell off the rights to Netflix to do something more internationally? And you know, Netflix is becoming more and more of a major player in this whole thing, man. So let's keep our eyes on that. All right, let's jump into the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Michelle Barth, who writes, well, everyone has been complaining online today that Logan didn't get a Best Picture nomination and Patrick Stewart didn't get an acting nomination. I think people are overlooking just how significant the nomination for screenplay is. This is the first time the Academy has nominated a comic book movie for this award. Isn't this huge? And you know what, Michelle? Two things. You are absolutely right. And number two, I am one of the guilty people here. Because I will admit, yesterday when the Academy Award nominations got mentioned, I was happy that Logan got that nomination. But I was kind of fixated on the fact that Logan didn't get a Best Picture nomination. And I knew there was a high probability that it wouldn't. But I was still really holding out hope. The one award it really deserved to be nominated for was Best Supporting Actor for Patrick Stewart. And I kind of became fixated on that. And what I didn't allow myself to appreciate in the moment as a fan of comic book movies is, holy shit, a comic book movie just got recognized by the Academy to be nominated for Best Screenplay. That has never happened before. Let that sink in for a second, because I think a lot of us, again, I'm the most guilty out of anybody. I think a lot of us just went, okay, got nominated for a screenplay, but did get a Best Picture? No. Did Patrick Stewart get? No. And we fixated on that. And I think we let the importance and the game-changing nature of the fact that Logan landed a Best Screenplay nomination totally fly by us. And it's not until now, like 24 hours later, that I think you're right. A lot of us are sitting down going, oh my God, this kind of changes everything. Because when you're talking about the 10 films that get nominated for Best Screenplay, 5 for Best Original Screenplay, 5 for Adapted Screenplay, you're basically looking at the Academy saying these are the 10 best films. Essentially. It's not that simple. It's far more complicated than that. Yeah. But I'm just saying, films that we, the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Sciences, believe need to be honored. They have never recognized a comic book film in that category. And yet, here we are. Here we are. This is game-changing. This throws open the floodgates. Gone are the days, I mean, it was never really that case, but, it's unfortunate that Dark Knight came out in a year that the Best Picture was limited to 5 nominees. Obviously, if the rules were in place then as they are now, Dark Knight would have been nominated for Best Picture for sure. But the fact that they have nominated, and some people try to throw some shade on Heath Ledger's win, because there's still, I don't believe this at all, but there's still a bunch of people out there who say, oh, Heath Ledger only got that nomination and win because he died. I don't believe that's true at all, but there's a lot of people out there to think that. So, okay, fine. Here we are now with no high-profile celebrity dying, with no limited nomination, nothing of that, and Logan gets nominated for Best Screenplay. I think that has excited the entire world, from DC movie fans, Marvel movie fans, whatever you think. This is a new era. I think this opens up, and I think we are in danger. I know I am guilty of this. We are in danger of letting the significance of this nomination kind of get swept under the rug because we're just so fixated that Logan didn't get nominated for Best Picture. Okay, it didn't get nominated for Best Picture. It was my #1 film of the year. I wish they had nominated it, but whatever. Let's appreciate this as film fans because I think this is significant. All right, anyway, let's move on to the final emailed-in question of the day. And the final emailed-in question of the day comes to us from Ricardo Ramirez, who writes, with Jordan Peele's Get Out getting a few Oscar nominations, some questionable nominations, my question for you is, do you think the Oscars only nominated Get Out to avoid what happened a couple of years ago with the Oscars being whitewashing? And you know what? Look, let's just be realistic here. Let's not stick our heads in the sand. A lot of people are asking this question right now. And it's a fair question. The question is fair. Because you're right. We had that whole controversy with the Oscar So White thing, which I thought was misplaced because I've never thought the problem was with the Oscars. I thought the problem is that the movie industry as a whole does not give enough opportunities to female directors, to black actors, to black writers, to black directors, to Asian writers and directors, all that kind of stuff. That's where the problem is. The problem is that Hollywood, the system itself, does not give enough opportunities to people to get Academy Awards later on. The Academy's job is just to say who was the best that year. And to me, I actually thought that year they got all their nominations right. I actually thought that year they got most of their nominations right. But there is a problem. But the problem is one step lower. It's at the Hollywood as a whole level that people don't get enough opportunities. And I think that's going to start to change. So that's a big hubbubaloo then. Now here we are here. And you got some people questioning whether Get Out should have been nominated for Best Picture, whether Jordan Peele should have got nominated for Best Director. And in light of everything else, it's understandable that some people would want to ask the question, is Jordan Peele's nomination a political nomination? Is Get Out's nomination a political nomination? Let me give my 2 cents on this, okay? And hear me out. Follow me through to the end of what I'm saying here, okay? I am one of those people that I do not believe Jordan Peele deserved a nomination. If you saw my review for Get Out, you know I think that movie was great, and you know that I think he did a great job directing it, especially when you consider it is his first feature film. It's remarkable when you think of it that. It was his first feature film, and he gave us such a great product in Get Out. However, there are about 10 other great films I think were better than it. Probably about 20 other great films that I thought were better than it this year. And about 10 to maybe 11 other directors that I thought did a better job than Jordan Peele. If the Academy was a one-person organization, that was me, Jordan Peele wouldn't have gotten nominated for Best Director this year, and Get Out would not have gotten nominated for Best Picture. I think it's a great movie. I think he did a great job. I cannot wait to see what Jordan Peele does next. But no, I didn't think, especially when you've got McDonagh, whose film is a frontrunner to win Best Picture. Like, Get Out's not going to win Best Picture. McDonagh's picture is a frontrunner, and the most important job of a director, because only the director has the whole movie in his head, and he's got to bring out the right performances out of his actors to really fit in with this vision in his head and to nail that. And that's why the director's most important job, at least is what directors are always telling me, the director's most important job is to get the right performance out of his actors. McDonagh doesn't have 1, not 2, but 3. His 3 leads in this movie all have been nominated for Oscars this year. When you're talking about Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson, and Frances McDormand, all of them got nominated. So he directed 3 actors to Academy Award nominations, and his film is one of the front runners to win Best Picture, and yet he doesn't get a Best Director nomination? That math does not equal up. Anyway, so with that being said, that I am one of the people who, while I enjoyed Get Out very much, and I thought Peele did a great job, and I think Peele can be the next Ben Affleck. Like this guy that we just saw as a performer, takes on directing, shows that he's got a real knack for it, and now he's going to be a force of nature for a while in Hollywood directing. I think he's the next Ben Affleck that way. But I don't think he deserved a nomination this year. So then, John, you agree that Get Out's nomination, that Jordan Peele's nomination was a political one. No. Look, film is subjective. Just because I didn't think Jordan Peele deserved a nomination doesn't mean there weren't a hell of a lot of people, including Academy members, who didn't think he deserved a nomination. Just because I didn't think that doesn't mean there aren't Academy members who felt that he did deserve it. Look, you just heard me complaining about Patrick Stewart not getting a nomination. Did I think that's I don't hear anybody saying that's a political issue. The Academy just hates older British men. Since when? Since when? Look, film is subjective. Guess what? You know what else I don't think deserved a Best Picture nomination? Lady Bird. I'm sorry. I know everybody's flipping their heels over this movie. I didn't think it was all that great. I thought Get Out was much better than Lady Bird. But I recognize that just because I feel that way doesn't mean other people feel that way. A lot of people love that film. And including, clearly, a lot of Academy members love that film. Critics love that film. A lot of the audience loves that film. So, is it a political issue that a story about a white girl got a nomination? No, just because I don't think it deserved to be nominated doesn't mean there aren't legitimately people who felt that it did, therefore it got the nomination. I don't think Jordan Peele deserved a nomination for Best Director this year, but that doesn't mean it's a political... No, I didn't, but clearly a lot of people did. And that is the basis of understanding that all film is subjective. Just because the movie you wanted to get nominated didn't get nominated doesn't mean there's some political intrigue going on. Just because the actor I wanted to get nominated for Best Supporting Actor didn't get that nomination doesn't mean there are ulterior motives for the evil, shadowy figures behind the Academy. No, it just means they saw it differently than me. And that's fine. So while I agree with a few people out there who don't think maybe Get Out deserved a Best Picture nomination or didn't deserve a Best Director nomination, yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think they deserved it. However, I also recognize that film is subjective, and I also recognize that a hell of a lot of people do feel it deserved a nomination, and therefore got the nomination, and it's as simple as that. Look, if Get Out sucked, if Get Out as a movie just sucked, and it was not all that good, and hardly anybody liked it, and all that kind of stuff, yet it still got a nomination, okay, maybe then it would have been a political issue. But that's not the case. It's a really good movie, done with a really good directing job, not quite good enough, in my opinion, to get a nomination, but good enough that a lot of people do feel it did. And that's what it comes down to. So just because a movie I wanted to get nominated, didn't get nominated, doesn't mean it's a political issue. Just because a certain director gets nominated that I didn't quite feel deserved it this year, doesn't mean it's a political issue. It just means other people saw it differently. So no, I understand the question. It's a fair question to ask, especially in light of recent events. I get it. That's fine. It's fair to ask. But no, I do not feel that this was a political nomination. I do not feel Jordan Peele's nomination was a political one. I don't feel that Get Out being nominated is a political one. But that's the beauty of film. And that's just how I feel about it. Not everything that doesn't go my way is a political issue. It just means other people thought differently. And we as film fans need to embrace that. All right. That'll do it for the emailed in questions, guys. I'm sure this is going to spark a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, and that's cool. Jump into the comment section. Just remember, guys, as you're discussing and debating with each other, remember, we're all on the same side. We're all film fans together, so treat each other like that as we're passionately debating and discussing the issue. Because that, some people think you can't do, you can't have a difference of opinion and be civil to each other. Yeah, you can. You really can. So do that down in the chat board below. All right. with that out of the way, guys, let's go on to the live questions you guys have sent in. And by the way, guys, if you have not sent in a live question yet, please do not send one in. Cutting it off right there. We're going to start the live questions right now with the first one from Jeffrey Podolsky, who writes, have you seen Amazon's Electric Sleep? Your boy Sam Witwer is in an episode with Terrence Howard. I'll be honest with you, I've never even heard of the show. And therefore, I had no idea that Sam was in it. Or Terrence Howard. So no, I have not seen the show, but now you've put it on my radar. Thank you. I appreciate that. Luis Francisco Contreras writes, do you think Kylo will use Force Lightning in Episode 9? Snoke used it when he was with Kylo in their first scene together. It is my favorite dark side power. Will we see Kylo use Force Lightning? You know what? It's a good question. I haven't thought of it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. I think we will see him use Force Lightning. I think we'll see him get more and more Vaderish. I also think the more and more now he's dedicated to the dark side, I think you're going to see him become a little bit more Vaderish in the terms of being more stone cold instead of really emotional. I think we're going to see him become a little bit more focused as well. Let's see. Prince JP 4321 writes, I don't know if you've talked about it, but have you seen the new God of War trailer? Oh, like the new video game trailer? No. I've heard that there's a new game coming. I think I saw some cutscenes from E3. I believe they showed some footage at E3, but no, I have not seen a new trailer for it. I'm assuming you're talking about the game and not a new movie called God of War. And if that's the case, I have not seen it yet, but I'm excited now that you've mentioned, so I'm going to look for that as soon as this show's over. Thanks for bringing that up, Prince. All right, going back to Luis Francisco Contreras, who writes, love the show. It's an important part of my day. Thank you so much, Luis. I really appreciate that. Who Flung Poo, I love that name. Who Flung Poo writes, have you thought of a fan cast for MCU X-Men? I still don't know what you mean by a fan cast. If you mean by who would I want to be cast in X-Men, I don't care. You know my answer to that question every single time. I don't care. As long as you put in actors who are talented. If you put in talented actors into the role of Iceman or Beast or Professor Xavier or whoever else, you put in anybody that's talented, then you've started off on the right foot. So that's really all I care about as far as casting and things like that go. Maybe one name writes, hey, John, I'm liking the new time format. Well, thank you so much. The earlier times means I can watch at work before my boss gets here. It is crazy over the years, all the way back to the movie blog days when I used to do the Movie Blog Uncut podcast. Actually, the original one was called the Movie Blog Audio Edition. It was the first movie podcast, by the way. Look that up. My podcast that I did back then called the Movie Blog Audio Edition was the first movie podcast. It's kind of crazy when you think about it that way. That's how long I've been doing this, for goodness sakes. Anyway, and by the way, I just got an email from Universal Studios saying that a new trailer for Pacific Rim Uprising is up. So as soon as the show's done, guys, go and look for that. Christina over there, my PR rep over at NBC Universal, is saying there's a new trailer up, which is not surprising because they put out a new poster yesterday. Normally, a new poster drops. That usually means within about 24 hours a new trailer drops. So let's keep our eyes open for that. But I've always been amazed how many people have always written to me over the years saying, John, I listen to the podcast at work, or John, I watch the show at work. And that's it. John Campea contributing to workplace laziness since 2003, I guess. All right. Sharana Aurora writes, so Boss Baby, which is rotten, gets nominated, but not a silent voice. You really can't expect to trust the Oscars when that happens. It was rotten. Well, I'm going to disagree with you, Sharon. I don't think Boss Baby was rotten. It looked terrible, and it wasn't great. And it's certainly not a film that should have the words Oscar-nominated film beside it. But it's not bad. Honestly, Boss Baby was a better movie than it looked like it was going to be. It wasn't awful. And this is one of the wonderments of the Academy Awards, is that, look, the nominations are done by the animation arm. The animation branch of the Academy is what did the nominations. How Lego Batman movie did not get a nomination is completely beyond me. But again, this is why I believe the fact that you have movies like Ferdinand and Boss Baby with the words Academy Award nominated for Best Film just tells me again and again and again that the Academy needs to do away with this whole Best Animated Feature category. It just shouldn't be a thing. It's a consolation prize. It shouldn't be there. A movie is a movie. Now, documentaries are very different things. Movies, there are narrative movies, and then there are other types of like documentaries. I understand that division for sure. That's a totally different type of thing. But a narrative movie is a narrative movie. So, I mean, I want to get rid of it. That's just me, though. All right. Anthony C. writes, most disappointing movie ever. Mine was Indiana Jones 4. Well, Indiana Jones 4 was disappointing. Here's the interesting thing about Indiana Jones to me, or the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, is that I walked out of it not hating it. I didn't hate it. I remember walking out of that movie and thinking to myself, and to this day I still feel this way, is that wasn't a half-bad little adventure movie, but it wasn't an Indiana Jones movie. And I remember what I said at the time when I first saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I said, if this movie had been called something else, let's say The Adventures of Dr. Walton Bolivian in the Great Jungle. Yeah, The Adventures of Dr. Walter Bolivian in the Great Jungle. If that was the name of the movie, and your character was a character by the name of Walter Bolivian, and everything else happened exactly the same, I think most people would have just thought of it as an okay little adventure movie. Because it was an okay little adventure movie. But as an Indiana Jones movie, it just did not live up to its namesake. It was not worthy of the Indiana Jones name. And therefore, the word you're using, Anthony, which is disappointment, becomes the key word there. We were disappointed. The movie didn't suck. I know a lot of people say it sucked, and that's fine. All film's subjective. To me, the film didn't suck. Because, again, take Indiana Jones out of it, I thought it was okay. But as an Indiana Jones film, you've got a namesake to live up to, and they just kind of didn't. All right. Brittany Bailey writes, and this is the last live question we'll take. John, you are 100% wrong on Jordan Peele. No, I'm not. That's my opinion. My opinion is my opinion. He is only the 5th black director nominated. The significance of the nomination outweighs any artistic reason. No. Brittany, what you just did, you just undercut Jordan Peele. By saying what you just said, you just undermined Jordan Peele. What you just said is, it doesn't matter if he deserved it. Of course it matters if he deserved it. What you just did was pat Jordan Peele on the head and say, oh, look, you get a participation. That's what you just did. You just undermined him. That type of thinking that, oh, the importance of it is more important about whether he deserved it. That's bullshit. That is straight up bullshit. And remember, I don't think he deserved it, but he earned it because enough people thought he did deserve it. Jordan Peele got this nomination because enough people legitimately thought he earned it. I didn't. That's fine. But make no mistake about it. Jordan Peele got this nomination because he earned it. Not because he's black. Not because there's only been so many black directors in the past. This wasn't a symbolic nomination. What you are just saying, Brittany, is that it was a political nomination. Whether you understand it or not, what you just said was that Jordan Peele's nomination was a political nomination, and that's okay. No, it's not. He got that nomination because enough people felt he earned it. Just like how everybody else got their nomination. Don't put an asterisk next to Jordan Peele's name and say, well, all these other guys deserve their nominations. This guy didn't, but he's black, so we gave it to him anyway. No, he got it because he earned it. But John, you said you didn't think he deserved it. Yeah, I don't, but I'm not what the Oscars are based on. It's based on, did you convince enough other people that you did a good enough job to earn it? And clearly he did. I don't care. You know, it's something that is significant loses its significance if it didn't earn its significance. Jordan Peele, being a black director, being nominated for Best Director at the Academy Awards, is significant because he earned it. If you start saying he didn't earn it, then it's not significant at all. You undermine and you take away its significance when you start talking like that. I understand you mean well. I do. I get that you mean well. But you are undermining the significance of the moment. You are undermining his accomplishment by saying stuff like that. Because either he earned it or he didn't. And when you write, the significance of the nomination outweighs any artistic reason, that means the nominations and nothing matters. Doesn't matter. Let's just give the awards out to who. Let's just pretend it's an award season. Let's pretend we're celebrating excellence and really just give out awards based on our political motivations. That is not what happened here. Jordan Peele got it because he convinced enough people that he earned it. And that's how every other director got nominated. Anyway, so again, Brittany, I understand that where you're coming from, you mean well. I understand that you mean well by what you're saying. But what you're saying and what you're suggesting is absolutely undermining and counterproductive to the significance of the moment and to what Jordan Peele accomplished. So anyway, that's just my thought on that. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, don't forget, guys, jump down to the comment section, leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics we discussed here today. Remember, once again, treat each other like fellow film fans because that's what we all are. If you haven't done so yet, click on the subscribe button, become subscribed to my YouTube channel. Listen, guys, do me a favor. If you are one of the people who watches my show on any kind of a regular basis, you can be one of the reasons that this show stays on the air. And my show is only able to stay on the air because of the support of my Patreon supporters. Do me a favor, guys. Head over to that website, www.patreon.com/John Campea. Check out all the information there. Find out what it means, A, to be a Patreon supporter, B, how being a Patreon supporter actually makes these shows happen, and C, some of the benefits of being a Patreon supporter as well. And then maybe you will decide to become one of those people that keeps this show on the air. And I thank you to all of you guys who are already Patreon supporters of mine and make this show happen. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget, we have open mic again tonight at 4 p.m. Los Angeles time. That's 7 p.m. East Coast time, New York time. Make sure you come back. It's just all your guys' live questions for a whole hour. That's all we do there. And we also take audio and video questions that you guys send in to me. And actually, that's been a lot of fun on open mic, is taking your audio and your video questions that you've been sending in. That's been great. So make sure you come back and check us out then. All right, guys, that'll do it for today. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.